March 13, 2023, 5 p.m. And Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Judge Clymer?
Here.
Commissioner Parker?
No. Commissioner Abraham.
I am so sorry. I was told to not go in any particular order, to go backwards every now and then, so I was going backwards. I'm sorry, it should be Commissioner Jones.
Destiny, what am I supposed to do with that? I don't.
Actually, no, I have you, but I do not have Commissioner Jones.
I got you.
I apologize, sir.
No, you're all right.
Commissioner Jones.
I'm here.
Commissioner Bartleman.
Here.
And Commissioner Abraham.
Present.
All right, and Mr. Bartleman, you offer our prayer, please.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for the blessings of this day. We thank you for the opportunity we have to meet and serve this county. Pray you be with us tonight as we conduct the business of this county and honor some of our high school students for their achievements. Father, we're just so thankful for them and for their dedication and hard work to help shine a light on this community. Father, we're thankful for our first responders, for all those who worked the tornado in the last couple of weeks. Father, we're thankful for them and for their service and for the cleanup they help with, and for all that they do to make sure people are safe and in that community. And Father, again, we're just so thankful for what you do for us. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, will you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to its republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we get into the meat of the agenda, Coach Civils, you want to come up and bring the ladies up, and we want to recognize them. We've got the McCracken County High School ladies basketball team here, and the coach, or some, at least, I think we have maybe the seniors and juniors. We left those freshmen and sophomores. Come on over here, please. There's a microphone up here. Because each of you are supposed to give a 15-minute speech. They told you that. And I understand we got some ACT exams tomorrow. Is that right? You ladies too? And so we won't keep you very long. But Coach, would you like to step up to the mic there and tell us about, we wanted to recognize the great performance of our ladies in the basketball. Came out number 2 in the state. Quite a feat. Proud of you ladies. Quite an accomplishment with all the competition. But go ahead, sir.
This is Miss Claire Johnson, Mickey Buchanan, Jordan Bufford, Caroline Civils, Destiny Thomas, and Briley Benton. And we had a historic run this year, 35-3. These kids have really worked hard in the off season, during the season, and we had a terrific run in the state tournament. Came up short against a very good Sacred Heart team, but we had a lot of tears after the game, not because how we played, but we were a very close-knit group of girls and our coaching staff. So probably the best kids I've ever coached in 28 years of coaching. So very, very honored to be a part of this group.
All right. Anybody have anything?
Coach, I would argue that you were number 1 in the public schools and the non-private schools.
Yes, sir.
You were number 1 in that category, and because you played a private school that has been more than likely recruiting. And but anyway, I think you can be proud of what you accomplished. And again, to me, you're number 1 among all the public schools and these kids worked hard and again just had a great shining light on our community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You probably don't want to comment on the.
Well, it's just we just compete. I mean,
Right.
It didn't matter who we play.
Right.
So I mean, we played them back in November and played them very close. So it's just part of basketball. You got to go ahead and compete.
It's part of Kentucky high school basketball.
Yes, sir.
I just want to comment. you can't win it if you're not in it. And you guys gave yourselves an opportunity. And folks up around Lexington way, or further, they forget about McCracken County down here. They think we're Tennessee or something. I don't know. But it's nice to have a group of young people go up there and remind them that, we got some things going on down here. And you guys, all those bleachers and suicides and all that sweat equity that you girls put into it, that's where you want to, it didn't come out like you wanted, but that's where you want to end it, right there in the state championship game. So I'm proud of y'all, and as I'm sure the whole community is. So you get you some sunglasses, guys, because your future's bright. All right.
Now we gotta have a photo. We gotta do the photo thing. That'd be okay? Yeah. All right, let's get up here.
And they're tall.
I always gotta be in the back. Gotta have the collar folks in the back.
And I gotta be in front on the show.
Well, you still are, aren't you?
Yeah.
Coach, you in here? Where's the coach? Oh, okay. All right. Excuse me, so we'll have this on the front page.
Let's do that support. Let's do that support.
Good job, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, that's fun. Now, let's see. Well, we've got just a few quick things to do, and then we'll get to some discussions. Consent agenda.
It is ordered to approve the consent agenda for the March 13th, 2023 McCracken County Fiscal Court.
Move we approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Budget transfers.
It is ordered that the necessary cash transfers in the amount of $2 million be made in order to pay county bills and payroll approved March 13th, 2023.
It's actually $200,000.
$200,000. I am so sorry.
So
I
moved.
misread that.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Okay, that's good. Accounts payable.
It is ordered to approve the voucher claims register from February 27th, 2023 to March 13th, 2023 to show county bills in the amount of $752,189.51 were paid.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Oh, and I need to mention also, we invited the boys, Tillman Wrestlers, to come and join us. However, they had a reception with the school board. And so the wrestling team wrestled on which place to go. Richard liked that. Anyway, we asked them if they would like to come to our next meeting, and maybe they can be here for that. They did take the state championship in wrestling. So
Yeah.
again, Paducah and McCracken County extraordinary in the athletic field here. Let's see, tornado response. We've got Rob Estes and April Watson here. Had that Fremont tornado last Friday a week ago. And Rob's our emergency management director. April, our assistant?
Chief Deputy.
Chief Deputy. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Chief Deputy. What do you got to say, Rob?
Well, just to give you a quick briefing and everything like that, I kind of broke it down to a timeline because it's kind of impressive how everything comes together. Anytime you have a response to a disaster, it's a disastrous response, kind of, because it seems unorganized, but it's organized chaos. when you get into something like that. And to see what was accomplished in the timeline is just amazing. But at 11:08 a.m., the tornado hit. At 11:37, the responding units had already conducted a primary search and started a secondary search to see if anybody was hurt or anything worse at that time. At 11:43 a.m., a command was already set up at the Dollar General store. At 12:51, Red Cross was already on the scene. At 1:20, the secondary search, making sure that we didn't have any victims in that area, was completed. At 1:38, we were able to release the Hendron Fire Department and let them go back to their station so that they could respond to other calls. The Sheriff's Department had also started setting up checkpoints that we could keep people out, and the DES rescue squad was able to relieve them and let them go back to their calls, because they had a number of calls stacking up at the same time. We had 7 different law enforcement agencies, 2 different fire departments. You had the McCracken County Rescue Squad, and my office for emergency management, as well as state and regional emergency management, was on scene that day. And it was pretty incredible that we had every bit of that completed. JPEC and their army had showed up. We had 50 utility poles down in that area. Power was being restored. A chunk of the power was restored that evening that they were able to get back. We had volunteer units that our volunteers, different volunteer agencies showed up the next day. Countless different ones showed up throughout the week. And without their help, that we wouldn't be able to get everything restored the way it was. And I don't have all their names, and I don't want to start with all their names because I'll forget somebody. But the second day, we were able to, we spoke with the judge there, and we were able to hire a company called ER Assist. Basically, they're FEMA navigation is what they are, and disaster support. April was able to, she started setting up, and she'll speak to this here in a minute, an information center at the Hendron Fremont Fire Department. The chief let us have that as an information center, as a place that we could hold meetings daily, and that we could have somebody stationed there to pass on information to the residents and the victims of the tornado. As far as debris management, as we don't know, not including what was hauled today, but we've already hauled over 200 loads of vegetative debris out of the area. We've hauled over 2,700 cubic yards of vegetative debris. The county and the state will be there in the morning when we start on the construction debris, and we'll get started to get all that taken out of there. We've met with Kentucky Emergency Management, and they stated that everything we're doing, that we're on the right track. And they were pretty amazed about everything we were able to get completed up until this date. I think they were really surprised. The judge can tell you he was there, that we had already started cleaning up debris. And we just informed them that's the way we do it in McCracken County in western Kentucky. There are many, many volunteer agencies, churches, and individuals putting in hundreds and hundreds of hours cleaning, and they made it a lot easier for our county and the state to be able to pick up this debris, and made it easier on JPEC. And I've got to say that and give just a big thank you to the Dollar General store. They basically housed us there in Fremont for the first, I would say, 36 hours of the incident. We were set up there. They were nothing but wonderful to us. The day of, that's the only bathroom that we had. And they were just more than happy. They didn't have power, and they had sent somebody there just to keep it open so we could have first responders could have a place to go to the bathroom and get out of the rain and get out of the wind for just a few minutes. And we had our command center and all of our vehicles in their way, and they didn't complain one time. They were just wonderful to us. So I'm going to pass this off to April and let her talk about our cleanup and where we're going from here.
As Rob said, in the initial hours after the tornado, we kind of commandeered the dollar store parking lot, and I second his thoughts. We wish to thank them for all their assistance and cooperation. But following that, we decided on Sunday afternoon, I was able to meet with Doug Cooper, who's the Hendron Fire Department chief, and we discussed with him setting up a resident and volunteer center at his Hendron Fremont Fire Station there on Old Mayfield Road. He was very cooperative and happy to help in any way they could. We made up flyers to let the community know that we would be having a resident meeting that afternoon. We invited the residents to the fire station, or the community center as we've called it. And at that meeting, they were able to meet with EM as well as Doug Cooper and county officials and road department, so that we could begin to tell them what the plan for recovery was and progress. Since we had that meeting, we've continued to have resident meetings at 4:30 p.m. every afternoon there at the fire station. We've opened that as a place for them to come and ask questions, so that they have one point of contact. One thing we've all learned through the many disasters we've worked is residents usually don't know how to track down a number, or you go to Google and you type something in and it brings up 5 phone numbers. And when you've experienced a tremendous tragedy such as a tornado or any disaster, the last thing you want to do is sort through phone numbers trying to find the right person. So we've been able to open this up. It's been staffed by emergency management and rescue squad members, so that residents can come in, they can ask their question. If the person there doesn't know the answer, they get their information, and we work to get that answer and call them back and give that to them. We've also, by having that open, as volunteer groups have come in, we've been able to talk to the groups and see what equipment they have, what they offer, and then we've been able to talk to the residents as to what their needs are, and we've been able to match those groups up with the needs of the residents to help get these yards cleared, houses repaired, and many things. We've also been able to partner with the Fremont Baptist Church. We've had many volunteers offer to bring in food. Many agencies have brought food to feed our workers and our volunteers, so the Fremont Church has opened their doors and allowed us to use that as a feeding center. And on these cold days that we've had volunteers, they've also opened up just as a place to come in, warm up, get a cup of coffee, and then get back out there and get back to work. In the last week, we've had over 25 different volunteer groups have come in, all from all places in the United States. We've had them from as far as Mississippi, southern Indiana, Nashville, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, and then several local groups here in western Kentucky. On Saturday, we hosted what we called Operation Clean Sweep. We had a lot of people that called that wanted to volunteer. They wanted to do something to make a difference. So Lowe's Home Improvement was very gracious in donating woven contractor bags to us. So we armed our volunteers with the contractor bags, and we started at the intersection of Old Mayfield and Hard Money Road. And we just made a sweep on both sides of the road, going down through there, picking up the small debris, the shingles, small pieces of wood, and they were also able to find many possessions that we brought back to the Fremont Fire Station that will be contacting residents that they can come pick up. So we want to thank all of our volunteers, all the groups that have come in to assist, and we especially want to thank our county officials for your support and allowing us to help these residents and get them on the road to recovery.
Any questions, comments?
I was out there a couple of days to watch your operation. You know, we kind of take for granted our emergency service organizations, the emergency service, the fire departments. We know they train a lot, and we see the results of the training when an event like this occurs. You didn't have to have a meeting to decide what to do. You just went out and did it because you knew what to do with that. So I think that was very impressive out there. Within, 45 minutes, you had already done an assessment of injuries and things like that, and I think that was really a great accomplishment. Also, I think the communication from having the center open every day from residents I talked to out there, some simple questions that people didn't know how to get an answer to, like, are we going to have mail delivery? Are the school buses going to run? How long is it going to take JPEG to get out here? They were able to come into the center, and you were able to get the answers to those questions. So they didn't have to. I think April at one point you said we don't want you to have to sit on the phone for 45 minutes on hold to try to find somebody to get an answer to questions. So I think everything out there really worked well, and the cooperation between the state, the highway department, the local road department. I mean, I think Randy was out there within a few minutes too, with his crews out cleaning up, and it just all worked well together. And we were fortunate it wasn't worse than what it was, but it's just gratifying to understand that when we do have an emergency, things really work well. When the governor came down, as the judge would allude to, he was very impressed with the volunteers who were out there 2 days after the tornado hit. I mean, there was one fellow there who the governor talked to. His home was damaged, but he was helping a neighbor get his home back in shape again because his neighbor had a couple of kids, and it was more of a necessity for him to get back than what it was this fellow. So it just all worked out well, and again, we can be proud of our emergency services operations and the coordination that went on. And again, the judge and Steve Doolittle and others, Randy, our county officials, they just were there and were able to help make decisions to help move things along pretty quickly.
You think?
Robert, are you going to be around when we discuss this contract?
I can be if you need me.
Let me just, is this a contract, $200,000 contract? Is that one we do? Did we do that for the Paducah that happened, for the tornado that happened about 3 years ago? Is this something that is usually in our course of business, or is this new?
I can speak on the one 3 years ago we didn't, because we didn't meet the threshold of damage.
Okay.
This one here, we met the threshold of damage, and this is something that we can get our money back through.
That was going to be my next question.
Right.
Is this money, this is just pass-through? We're going to get this
It can
back.
be recouped through FEMA, and this company is highly known for being able to go through and
We have not done this before.
Okay.
But since we met threshold, and the state has done something really great for us, and they're already on state contract, so we didn't have any pricing to negotiate for the contract. That was all set by the state. We really just hired them to do some certain tasks. There's a big number in the contract, but the company tells us honestly we'll be well under $50,000 for total services, and it's FEMA reimbursable since we met threshold for damage to public properties, which mostly came through damage to Jackson Purchase systems.
Okay. Thank you. I didn't want to lose my answers. Okay.
I'm glad Steve's here.
Anything else?
Just a great job, and I'm sure the folks out there are appreciative. And things happen. You don't get much of a heads up, and so just having everybody knowing exactly what they're supposed to do in their sector of this whole thing it makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. So great job.
If we planned it on paper, it couldn't be any better
Right.
than the way it's turned out here. We've had no hiccups whatsoever, dealing with everything. And I've got to say, we're only as good as our leadership, and the judge and Steve were there that day and every day. And it's been, Commissioner Balderman's been there, and it's been great with our leadership that way, all the way through this, that if we need something, that's all we have to do is say, we need this, and it's done.
Absolutely.
That makes it very easy for all the agencies involved.
So, I gotta say, our people are just outstanding. I'm talking about the people that we pay to do this, and all the people that volunteer to do this. The majority of your troops are volunteer.
Yes, sir.
We got Rob and April leading the thing up. We've got the fire chiefs. We've got all these volunteers. We train around the clock, throughout the year. Boy, they responded. And our people, not just for this, but our people out here in the courthouse, at the road department, everywhere, respond to whatever's needed. And it's so gratifying to be in this position, to have strong people that you can count on. And I won't say who it was, I guess, but I was talking to a person in disaster management, let's say, and so the person said, I guess we were 3 or 4 days out from the tornado. So when do you think you're going to be ready to start picking stuff up? We started 2 days ago. No, I mean like with trucks and equipment. When you going to get your trucks and equipment out there and start getting all the, you got to get the vegetative debris and all that. And I said, 2 days ago. Well, what about the construction debris? It's got to be separate from the brush. And when you going to start doing that? And I said, we'll have the vegetative debris, I think within about a week. And then we'll start on the C&D, the construction debris. He said, no, I mean all the other stuff. Yeah, we'll get that done. And you got to have hazardous debris. You're going to have to deal with the hazardous stuff too. And you got to have sites. You got to pick out sites to dump all this stuff. Have you thought about that? I said, we got 3 sites. We got our brush site, we got our C&D site, we got our hazardous site, and we're on the job getting it done. And it said, how you getting all that done? I told him, I said, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And of course, I do want to say this: we are so fortunate, blessed, whatever word you want to use, that our tornado, Fremont tornado, and some surrounding areas there, doesn't compare to the Graves, Marshall County, back December. But I'm just so proud of everybody, of the work that's been done, and the federal people, state people, they've jumped in and helped us. Our road engineer was out there helping. I think maybe were you in the truck with me when I was talking to Kyle Pote? And he laughed when I told him I wasn't patient. I wasn't going to wait till.
Yes, I was with you for that conversation.
Yeah. He said, "Well, we probably need to wait. No, wait." But anyway, everybody jumped together, and I think it was not because of me, but because of you guys. It was a textbook example of how to go about this, and proud of you, appreciate you.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Well, that was fun too. Let's see, and then. I put on here about the Washington, D.C. trip. Went to D.C. I traveled there with Sandra Wilson from the Chamber, Mayor Bray, Marino Redfield, and Corey Hicks from Four Rivers Nuclear Partnership. Swift and Staley had a representative, Jessica Newman, and Bruce Wilcox with GPED. It was I don't really enjoy those trips generally, but after doing them, I recognize it needed to be done. We made some good contacts, had some great talks. We met with Congressman Brett Guthrie's legislative aide. We met with Seth Kirschenberg with Energy Communities Alliance and some of his people. They're, of course, coming here May 17, 18, I think it is, for a conference that we're going to be hosting them. Met with EM2, the second in command at emergency management for the federal, for the United States Office of Environmental Management. Met with Congressman Comer, and we all had dinner with him and his chief counsel one night while we were there. Multiple others. Morgan McGarvey, a new congressman. Scott Kittle from the office of Rand Paul. Had some good time with Mitch McConnell and his folks. And so we learned a lot. We rekindled the connection, and all that stuff is really, I think, helpful to our community to be able to keep those contacts going. So we were there 2 days, got back home, and so I think it was well worth the trip doing that. Flew on Contour out from Barkley. Good flight there and back. One person showed up almost late for the flight. One person, but we don't need to say who it was.
Who was that? Oh, never mind.
There's a big guy with a beard, big ugly guy with a beard. Almost late. They said I was late, but I was, not real late. Let's see. All right. We've got. If you guys would we got on here a county stage discussion that might take just a few minutes. Could I have a motion to move that to the end of the discussion, and we'll get Amanda Melton, Jamie Husky, and David Knight out of here so they don't have to sit there.
So
motion to move it.
I move that.
All right, there's a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, we'll put that as F instead. And that gets us then to Amanda Melton, coroner. Amanda, this is we're just giving some time to our elected officials to fill us in on whatever you want to fill us in on, how your year's gone, and that sort of thing. We're coming up in budget time, and I guess y'all are going to want to get paid again this year.
Hello. I always look forward to this opportunity to speak with you all because the work of the coroner is not something that we talk about a lot. It's such a delicate issue in so many ways. But I do look forward to telling you about our program, our agency, and kind of what's going on with us. If I did not tell you about my deputies, I would be remiss because I have such a great group right now. I appreciate every single thing that they do to assist me. And Commissioner Abraham, just kind of to catch you up just a little bit. So, of course, the coroner's office is covered, 24 hours a day, all the time. Typically, on an average month, I'm on call 18 or 19 of those 24-hour shifts. And my deputies are part-time. They each cover 4 shifts each month. So, in other words, 12 days each month, I'm technically not on call. I have had Jason Logston with me since day one. He serves in a dual capacity, interesting person, but he is a youth minister in Marshall County. He's a funeral director in Balmer, and he works for me part-time as a deputy coroner. Wade Dilworth, great addition to our staff. He's a security officer at Baptist Health Paducah, very active in the Civil Air Patrol and an EMT, and works part-time as a deputy coroner. And James Scott is our newest addition. He had a 24-year distinguished career in the Air Force. Has recently moved back to Paducah, which was his hometown. He's originally from Farley, and he's actually just purchased the Farley School because he loved that school, credits it for where and who he is today, and hopes to do something for the community out there that's very positive. So I've very much enjoyed having him as part of our team. On, I believe, the 3rd page, this is our what we call calls for service, and this is the way that, yes, sir.
Yeah, talk about your special deputy here.
Oh, well, she's way more popular.
I'm a dog lover, so
yeah.
I couldn't.
She is more, that's Courtney Hope McCracken, by the way. She is more popular and well-known than I am, so I never go anywhere that someone doesn't ask about her,
all
but she does some pretty special work. I'll get to that, but
okay.
Yeah, she's great. So, calls for service, the total number is 1,549. Beneath that is the way that we track these. So, we have a spreadsheet. We have very specific things that we keep up with and track. Death investigations, of course, is the bulk of what our department does. So, last year we went out on 316, which is a plus 35 from 2021. 316 death investigations. That means to leave where we are and go to that place of death. That is the very first thing that happens every time. It's not uncommon for us to be there for several hours and to deal with that case for weeks, if not months, for various follow-up. In addition, the coroner's office is the only person who can sign a permit for someone to be cremated. Last year, we signed 760 cremation permits. That is not just a simple signature either. That involves some follow-up, some questioning. We have to know the background before we're going to sign to go through with the cremation. A hospital case review is when the hospital has a perplexing case that they're not quite sure if it falls under the coroner statute, but they want to know that before they make any moves. So they'll call us and basically summarize the case, and we will decide if the statute applies to that death and if we need to be involved. That happened 102 times last year. Hospice case reviews. So hospice nurses and their professional staff are allowed to pronounce and determine death in the home. However, the stipulation is that they send a report to the coroner's office for review. So 301 times last year we reviewed hospice deaths. Court orders are complicated cases where, for whatever reason, we're not able to locate a family member, or possibly that person is estranged from their family and they refuse to participate at the time of death. So 14 times we requested that the court step in and give us permission to move forward with disposition. Indigent financial assistance is something that I need to thank you all for, because I'm incredibly proud and also recognize that McCracken County is unusual in that we do have this fund that is administrated by the coroner's office. But there's specific protocol in place, but when someone does qualify as an indigent, we are able to step in on their behalf and make sure that they are treated with dignity and respect. And that all starts with you all. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And unclaimed next of kin location, we have begun to recognize that there are a fair amount of people who choose to live under the radar. Perhaps they go by a street name or a nickname. They do not want anybody really to know who they are, where they're from, or who they're connected to. And when this happens and they die in our jurisdiction, we have to go through an extensive search to try to figure out who they are, because one of the obligations of the coroner is to determine identification and to positively identify someone. So it is not, as you see, the number's 25. This happens quite often where the hospital or one of our calls is such that we're just not able to know immediately who that person is, and we use all different kinds of tools to figure out who they are. I did include the statute in here. I always think that that might be of interest to you, just to know particularly what kind of deaths we respond to. There's also a page in here that talks about the specific things going on in our community. Of course, we're all aware that overdoses are a major concern across the entire world. These are all things that we track because we have other leading agencies in the nation, prevention agencies who want to know what's going on in McCracken County, and the best way for us to report that is to keep good notes and to track that. So you'll see that on one of our pages. We have seen a reduction in the number of COVID deaths, and I thought that when that happened that our caseload would also reflect that, but it didn't. I could tell you theories of why I think our caseload continues to increase, but in general, I think it's a certain population does not have adequate health care or doesn't know how to seek that and see the resources that are available. I'm glad that all 4 of us have been through basic coroner training now, so we're all registered with vital statistics. We all have permission and access to all of the very complicated and sites that we need. My team is very interested in continuing education. We look for those opportunities quite often in specialized things. Another thing going on with us is that I've kind of spearheaded a coroners association for the Purchase area, and I feel like probably the sheriff and jailers probably have those, maybe even you all do, but the teamwork that's necessary, and I think we've learned from the tornado in Graves County and our recent disaster here, that sometimes our resources are stressed and we need other counties to assist us. I don't want to be strangers with those people when they come in to help us. So more than just meeting at convention once a year, we're going to try to have a biannual coroners meeting where the deputies and the elected official are there. It will be both for the camaraderie aspect but also for training purposes. So we've established it. We're in the process of trying to determine exactly what we want to accomplish with that. I have some information in here about the extensive review that goes on when anyone under the age of 18 dies in our jurisdiction. So last year, this team that I've assembled, which I think of them as just the gold star of professionals in McCracken County, but last year we reviewed in depth 9 cases of minors who had died in our community. And the purpose of this is to try to make sure that as a community as a whole, we've done everything we possibly could do to serve that child and that family. So the team, for example, they're mental health professionals, they're school resource officers, detectives, we have a pediatrician, we have the EMS director. So we're trying to look at it from a comprehensive point of view. And I'll tell you, when you get that many professionals in a room, and we've all agreed to talk freely about what's happened and where we fell through the cracks and what we could have improved on. You have to have kind of a thick skin because sometimes more could have been done, and none of us are afraid to say that. But the end result, I think, is great because we learn from it and we do better the next time. Just, a few things. I actually get asked to speak to various communities, and I really like that opportunity. Everything from the police department's Junior Citizens Academy, Turning Point, Overdose Awareness Day, Emergency Management, we participate with them. And I do take Courtney various places. She brings an immediate smile to people's face, and I think kind of shines a little more gentle light on the coroner's office in that case. Some kind of long-term things that I'm looking at, and Deputy Judge Executive Doolittle and I have spoken about a few of these things, but when we look back through the coroner's office through the ages, Coroner John Barker, Coroner Jerry Byer, they did not always have computers at their disposal, so they have handwritten notes, the only notes that exist on some of these death investigations, and they're currently stored in a place where, they're starting to see some wear and tear on these pages. So we're looking at some opportunities to archive these records, to store them permanently, and I'll probably talk with you more about this during budget session, but it's really important, I think, to try to maintain these records for safekeeping as we move forward. We've also talked about having secure morgue space for the coroner's office. I don't like to present a problem without some ideas of solving it, and I do have some, and again, Steve and I have talked about these, and hopefully in the future, and it may be budget would be the best time to kind of discuss those opportunities. I feel like I need to do a little pep rally too. When we had the basketball team in here, I've played sports my whole life, and, you know, the teamwork and cooperation that's needed in that environment extends into our professional careers. Here I am in my 50s still talking about, you know, what I learned from sports. But the truth of it is, I'm so thankful that in our county, we have a buy-in from every single department that I work with. And what that means, and I think what would be important for you to know, is that a problem that one of us has becomes a problem that all of us have, and we find ourselves being problem solvers. And I've never had a situation where I needed something and the agency I asked turned and ran the other way. In fact, sometimes they approach me before I'm even able to ask them for help. And I wish actually that April Watson was still here, because we found ourselves in a situation where we were having some transport issues when we found ourselves in a very difficult environment. So it could be terrain, or it could be just really imagine all the situations we get ourselves in. And as soon as this problem became known, April stepped in and said, I actually think that DES can help you. And in just a few brief meetings, we had this whole thing figured out, and her team, all volunteers, continue to show up, and I mean show up with the best attitude in the worst situation. And they deserve a lot of credit for helping us figure that out. Very, very thankful for them. All of my interactions with everybody from Pam in finance, Deputy Doolittle, Sheriff's Department, the jail. I mean, it's a situation where I think you all would be very proud when you envision how all of these agencies work together. And the last thing I wanted to say is I appreciate you all. You know, we had a car that we had started calling the Gold Nugget. It was a maintenance nightmare. It needed to go a long time ago. And I talked with Steve about it, and, you know, before long we had a much nicer and more reliable vehicle to work into our fleet. I'm thankful that when we have a need, you consider it and try to find a solution. Again, the indigent account that we have, fantastic, so helpful in so many ways, and I know the funeral homes appreciate it as well. That's basically all I have, unless you all have some questions for me.
Anything?
I don't have any. I appreciate the report.
Is motor vehicle collisions fatality only 4? Is that down, up, at average?
Probably down, although 21 was an extraordinarily high year because of you remember the interstate fatalities that we had. So yes, it's down. Yeah, it sure is.
Oh. Been at this job about 5 years. Never had a complaint about the coroner's office.
I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You did a good job.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
All
All right, thank you all for your time.
All right, then we have Jamie Husky, County Clerk. It appears we're going to need to purchase some blankets for the clerks this year.
Just Sam.
Thank you, Bill.
So I want to start by saying that when I first heard about this idea, I kind of questioned it. Then the more I thought about it, I thought it was wonderful. I thought, how many really know what kind of goes on in my office? So if you open your book, the first page talks about the county clerk's duties. It has the KRS behind each of them. And then when you turn the page, I have broken down the duties to a little bit, to smaller jobs or things that have to be done behind each one. And that's for every job in the office. I kind of wanted to Well, and let me stop. I want to say that my four highest people in the office are here today, and I cannot do my job without them. They are so supportive, and they help me so much. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the transportation information. In my office, in 2022, we did 510,994 registration actions. And it breaks down what each one was. We did 29,920 car renewals, or car and boat renewals. And you can read the different scenarios underneath it, decal replacement, plate replacements. We did 21,436 title transfers, and it breaks down to the difference in state, out of state. We have 276 different license plates. 178 of those are kept in-house. 105 can be personalized. And there are 19 plates that are only available personalized. And I thought I'd mention 12 of those. Gold Star Daughter, Gold Star Father, Gold Star Mother, Gold Star Son, Gold Star Spouse, and Gold Star Sibling. And that's for your motor vehicle. Then there's the same plates for the motorcycles. And unfortunately, to have one of those plates, you had to lose the equivalent of mother, father, sibling. While that person had to perish while they were serving the United States of America. There are 828 codes for license plates that we have to know. There are 9 vehicle codes, 14 correction codes, 50 color codes, and 44 revenue codes. And with those revenue codes, you have to know which paperwork to go with which code. There are 55 transportation forms and 12 revenue forms, and those are used on a daily basis. So now I'm going to kind of skip over to my recording information. The McCracken County Clerk's Office received $24,894,528.54 from processing work in 2022. And then it had to be dispersed per KRS to the entities below. At the end of each month, after disbursements were complete, all excess fees are turned over to the county treasurer. In 2022, the amount of excess fees that were turned over was $2,218,963.86. Then on the next page is the recorded information. It tells you the amount of money we took in for marriage license, title lien statements, deeds, releases, notaries. And y'all can read it on down. And on the next page, it just tells how many of each of those that we did. The next page talks about the new recording fee, the $10 storage fee that we have to collect. And I just put a copy of the KRS in here following it. We have $10 storage fee because certain instruments have to be recorded on microfilm by the date listed in this KRS. It's Senate Bill 135.
And who do you pay that?
Well, we haven't had it done yet. So on each of those things that for the recording department, we collect last year we had to start charging $10 extra. So that money goes into a separate account. It's turned over to Pam, and she puts in a separate account to pay for the new laws to make sure that we're compliant.
So a deed, last time I did one was $18. I'm sure it's not that anymore, but it's now $28.
Yes, everything was raised, yes.
Okay.
And then one of the reasons they did that is to be compliant with the new law, it's going to be very expensive. And some of the smaller counties, obviously, their fiscal court couldn't afford, or the county didn't take in enough money to do that.
And we've been collecting that how long?
Since July 14th of 2022, and since then we've collected $57,000, or up until December, because all this just runs through 2022. We collected $57,170, and we have called for estimates to come in, and he came and looked at everything, and he's going to get back with us I think around May, June, he wants to let us get through the election before he comes in and gives us more of a better estimate. And then at the end of the KRS, the County Clerks Association, they kind of just made a little PowerPoint. So I just copied that and put that in there for you. It's a little bit easier. So now we're going to go to voter registration, which is a year-long process to get ready for an election. And there's just a timeline, what has to be done on certain dates per KRS. And this year we get to do what's called a reapportionment. And what that does, are y'all familiar with the reapportionment?
Some.
Okay.
I know that Rich and I don't want to be in the same district.
Right. Well, and I'm not real familiar with it, but I'm leaving in the morning for training. That's all it's over is reapportionment. So they usually do it every 10 years, and it was due in 2021, but because of COVID, they postponed it. But they couldn't do it in 2022 because the commissioners were on the ballot, so they moved it to 2023. The main purpose of it is making sure each representative has equal representation, and the numbers have to be within 10% of each other.
Do they reapportion school districts too? Or are those required?
Well, so it won't be, it's going to depend on where the population is for you three commissioners. So it could split a school board.
Because there's 5 school board districts, right, and 3 commission districts. I just wondered if you had to
Well,
I was looking at a map of the county school districts the other night, and it looks like, I'm not sure how balanced they are. I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, they said like, the county clerk doesn't have a vote on any of this, but they have to be on the board for it to advise. And the reason they want that is to make sure that you don't split any more school boards. Or, it must have contiguous lines. Everything must meet. So
who appoints? I think is the term commissioner used again. So we'll have separate commissioners who will come up with the commissioner districts.
I believe Judge Orzine does. I'll find out exactly tomorrow, but I'm believing county judge or fiscal court will.
Okay.
And the only other thing that I really wanted to talk about is for election, we've always closed, since we've started having elections in office, like for early voting and election day. I don't know how many elections it's been, but we've always had just our deputies work in the office. This year, I have, with the help of Geronda, assigning, we are having deputies out on the street for election. They're going to go between, each deputy's been appointed 3 precincts, and that day they're going to travel between the precincts to help the poll workers, to help the voters, to answer questions. So they'll be seen, so we'll have a representative there to be seen.
How many days voting? It's been decided how many days voting?
Well, you have the 3 days, or no excuse early voting, and we're always open for that. Just election day is the only day that we're going to close the office, but we've been doing that. Then you have the 3 days excused and 6 days non-excused. 6 days. 6 days, and then 3 early.
What now?
So the 6 days of excused early voting and 3 days early voting. So if you have an excuse, you can vote the first 6 days that it's open.
Okay.
And I don't have that timeline in front of me. Do you know the dates off the top of your head? May 3rd. May 3rd.
It starts on May 3rd. It runs to May 2.
Okay. May 3rd to May 10th, and
it's for the early.
Day.
So the office will be closed one day.
Yeah, the office will be closed one day, and it's been like that for the past couple elections.
Okay. All right. You guys got anything?
And excuse, what would that be? Give me an example of.
If you're traveling, I don't have all the excuses. Come on.
If you are going to be out of the county on election day or any day during early voting, no excuse. If you are having
Surgery.
If you're military, of course, and anybody that cannot vote during a 3-day early or election day, it qualifies as an excuse.
Okay.
Anybody aboard anything?
No.
Anything? No. All right. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Hope you learned. I don't know that I taught you anything.
Very
But
experienced.
It's really good.
oh, thank you.
It's very helpful.
Thank you.
All right, we got our jailer. Come on up, David. I guess you're gonna want to be paid too.
Well, you're going to be disappointed in my handout because I didn't bring you one. Overall, I'd like to just let you know how the operations of the jail are going. They're running smoother than I've seen them in 10 years over there, and it's largely due to the stability of our manpower that we have, which leads back into the several years of us all working together to get their pay and benefits up to where they can sustain themselves on it. From 2021 to 2022, we dropped about 40% in turnover. So far this year, we've had 2 that have quit. If we stay on that track, we're looking at 8 to 10 for the year. That's about 60% down from last year. We have better trained deputies, better qualified and equipped than we've ever had. And an incident happened just a few days ago that I think is a direct reflection of that. We had a young man brought in that was in a cell that's checked every 15 minutes, and they were doing their rounds, and he wasn't moving, but he was breathing. He kept, he's in the same spot every time they come back. So something just wasn't right with him, and they went back in between those to check on him, and he wasn't breathing. They went in, they started CPR immediately on him. They got an AED hooked up to him, an emergency personnel there, and because of their actions, he's alive today. He wouldn't have made it at all. He wasn't expected to live when he got to the hospital, but he's setting up in the hospital and talking, and I wouldn't say he's the friendliest young man, but he's still with us, and he's gonna be okay, at least through this incident. I really believe if we didn't have the stability in our manpower that we have, that wouldn't have been the case. And because you all helped work with us to get that accomplished, I think it's a reflection of that. So I say thank you for doing that in the past, and they thank you as well. Budget-wise, we're on track to be about $140,000 under budget at the end of this fiscal year. We obviously have gone up in our deputy line item because of our pay has gone up, and we don't have nearly as many vacant spots as we've had in the past. So that's a good thing from my perspective. Overall, we've got some things we need to move around, but in general, we're in a good spot. We're booking in between 6,000 and 7,000 a year. This year is not going to be any different. We're fluctuating anywhere from 450 inmates to 625. Our county inmates were extremely high 8-9 months ago, and now we've got back down to where we should be. So hopefully that balances everything out. Y'all have any questions for me?
So I think we eliminated some positions.
We did.
And we used that money to increase the pay.
We spend more time up to staff now than we did before.
You haven't regretted any of those?
I'm sorry?
You haven't regretted?
Not at all. No, because, when we had 65 slots to fill, I kept around 50 to 52 employees to fill those slots. Now we have 60 slots to fill, and we stayed between 58 and 60. We stayed at 60 for quite a while. We had one quit, and we terminated one, and that's been in the last week. So that was one of our 2 that's resigned this year. So, no, we definitely are better manpower-wise by eliminating those positions.
Yes.
Is there anything going on at the jail annex? Are you using that for anything right now?
We are. There's about 40 inmates over there, and they are working out in the community. Just because of the structure of the inmates and how many are county, how many have open charges, there's not near as many over there as I'd like to be. But the state is very backlogged in classifying their inmates, and I can't move them until they're classified. So.
And some of those, or all of those, are you collecting fees from them? Is that working out? I know when it was originally
Not all of those. I mean, we have about 250 county inmates and 170 state inmates, 30 federal inmates. The ones at the annex, probably 3/4 of those we're collecting fees on. The rest of them are county inmates that are just out working road crew and whatever else they do.
30 federal?
We have 20 federal.
20 federal.
We usually stay between 20 and 30.
When you took over, you didn't have many federal at all.
We didn't have any federal at all. They took them all out for various reasons.
They pay more.
Yeah, talk about a little bit about the special programs you got going on and how that's coming, Phoenix Project.
That is still up and running and doing very well. We've graduated roughly 65 students from that since its inception. We've had some snags through the last few months getting instructors, but we've got that worked out. As you know, we've got the 4 programs: electrical, HVAC, deckhand, and welding. And so far, the employers have all been coming to us actually asking for more people. Wow. I give the percentages of saying we have maybe I think 78% was the last I figured on that stay out of jail after going through these programs. And one of the employers come up and he told me he's hired 10 and only 1 didn't work out, and he wanted as many more as he could get. So he is very pleased with what's going on.
That's a major, because you're talking breaking that cycle, which trickles down, has a ripple effect through the family. That's a wonderful program.
And they were not part of those programs, but a program. I mean, up until I took over, we'd never actually graduated anyone in the GED program. We graduated 21 to date so far. And through COVID, we had some snags on getting the people that were. It was a whole testing process to get somebody a GED while they're incarcerated, but a lot happens behind the scenes. It's a big accomplishment.
What's our head count averaging now?
450s. We were at 457 earlier today.
And our capacity is what?
374. Yeah, we're always over capacity.
Our alleged capacity.
Right. I mean, I've seen it at 675, but that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, I remember 600 or so. Okay. All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let me make this point about the last 3 presentations: the coroner, the county clerk, and the jailer. All 3 of those offices are staffed, funded, maintained, paid, retirement benefits, wages, health care, everything by the county alone. State doesn't pay anything on any of those. The county covers all the costs on all of that. And so that's what I respond, at least in part, when folks that live in the city say, "Why I gotta pay county taxes too? I live in the city. Y'all don't do anything for me." And so there it is. I mean, we house all the inmates that need to be housed. We do at the clerk's office, title all the boats and cars, and do the preside over the elections. The wills, all the paperwork, all the important paperwork, home mortgages, everything is done, and we pay for that, and so on.
We just have to make this information available to those who don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I just said. And then, of course, unless you paddle over here from Illinois across the river, you're going to come into the city on county roads. You can't get to the county.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess you could fly over and jump out, but otherwise. So, all right, now we've got this county stage discussion. It's we've got to talk a little bit, and I don't know if we'll make a decision. Don't need to necessarily tonight, but here's what's happening with our county stage. McCracken County owns, the Fiscal Court owns this stage that's been used for quite some time for like the Music and Arts Festival, Lower Town, I think they call it Arts and Music Festival. NAACP uses it. Several nonprofits use it. We either charge very little fee or no fee. We've got some guidelines on that. It's very labor intensive, and it's heavy labor intensive. And we've had the help of the city to help erect that and tear down that stage. It takes it takes most of a day to get it up. A day and a half to get it up. Almost maybe a day or a half a day to get it down, I guess. And the city, we've provided the stage. We bought it. It's ours. We provide it for the use of these entities, and they're all, for public good. The city has, over the years, helped us by sending us some labor to help put it up, but they are not going to do that anymore. And so that's one reason that I want to bring it on, whether we want to continue to own a stage, whether we want to continue to erect it, take it down, maintain it. There's liability issues, all of that. Or do we want to come up with some other option? We can contract with somebody to provide labor. As we know, we don't have a large parks department. A lot of these things have to be done outside of regular time pay. So if we pull people from other departments, we might get into the double time or whatever pay. We can contract with labor. So we got options. We could say lots of options, I guess. We can get out of the stage business, sell the thing, declare it surplus, sell it, and then, of course, these entities that I think are, they're a part of our community, and I like that we've been able to support them and charge little or no fees for that stage. The stage is, it's sort of the center attraction. The entertainment's on the stage. That's where everybody's gathering around. So these entities would have to go somewhere to rent a stage at multiple times the cost that we provide. Steve and I have talked about whether we might want to see if the city doesn't want to get involved with assisting in putting this one up. There are stages now, and this is a stage that's manual. It's a Lego set or whatever. You got to manually pick up this steel and put it in place. It's not what's those things? Robots, the transformer. It's not a transformer, but there are stages that have hydraulics, very expensive stages that one or two people can put up. That pull up on wheels, you hit some buttons and this and that, and the thing folds out and makes a stage, and then I think there's some manual labor with that. And so just wanted to kind of get you guys' feelings on what you think about it. We can just sleep on it a week or two. We don't have to know right now. We do have, however, there is some urgency in that the entities that we've been providing it to are going to be expecting that we will continue to do so, and at the fee or no fee, whatever we've been charging. And we have the Lower Town Arts and Music Festival coming up May, I think it's May 12th. And so here we are, mid-March. We'd likely be putting them in a bind if we said we're not going to provide you a stage anymore. I feel like for them, and then we also have a August 8th group that's wanting it for August 4th. That's a short time away as well. Perhaps we need to, whatever we do, maybe we need to continue to provide for, through maybe mid-year or maybe even to the end of the year. If we've promised it, we got to give people notice.
Right.
Not just jerk it stage out front, figuratively speaking. So I have not approached the city about, hey, would you guys want to jump in together and let's buy a stage that's less intensive labor. And so that's a possibility. We could see what they have to say about that. I kind of assumed that maybe they might not be interested in that, since they're not interested in helping erect the one that we have. But
Do we have a ballpark of what it costs to put that stage up? And you talked about the manpower and
yeah, well, we use our people, and then the city has used theirs, so it's people that we're paying anyway. We're pulling them off of other job duties to put on there, so it's, and I don't know what, if we contract for labor, we'd have to probably contract, well, we think 5 or 6 people on the put up and take down each. I don't know, I would guess we're in the, $20 an hour range, somewhere on that. I mean, it's not a lot of money. However many hours that is. What did we say, a day and a half plus another day, maybe 2.5 days. That's like 20 hours times 6 is 120. $1,200 to $1,500. So I mean, it's not a whole lot of money. I guess it. I just.
When you say the city, and I guess I don't want to misstate. I don't know exactly what. So let's say the Lower Town Arts Festival.
Mm-hmm.
We provide the stage, and would the city traditionally help set up the stage?
Yeah.
And has the city said we're not going to do that in May?
They said, when I talked to the mayor, he said they were not going to do it anymore. That's been our position for a while. He said there was the possibility that if we need to do something that's coming up soon, that maybe they would be able to help.
I guess
I won't say they won't for this, and I don't know about off into August but their policy is they're not going to do any more. I guess if we ask, would you help us this one or this 2 last times? Perhaps they would.
Was that a commissioner vote? Them? I mean,
I don't
want to be hard on them, but I don't want this commissioner job to be harder than their commissioner job.
Well, we got that information from their Parks Department, and I mean, frankly, I wondered if the leadership was aware of that, and so I talked to George, or the mayor, that you're aware of that policy, that you're not going to do that anymore, and he said yes, that's been our position now for some time. So I don't know if it was made internally, Steve. You know, I don't know if they put it for a vote or if it was just a executive decision.
I'm not aware that it was a voted on position.
Yeah.
Management position.
Could we charge a fee high enough to pay for outside labor to put it up? I mean, if it's $2,000, is that a reasonable fee? That
It'd be much less than if they went to Indianapolis or Nashville and tried to rent one. I think they would see many, many multiples of that.
That stage they rented at Touchdowns and Tunes was really expensive and cost prohibitive. And the organizations that we're talking about, Oscar Cross, I think.
We were using it, last year we used it 5 times. Lower Town Arts Music Festival was used for barbecue on the river. It was used for during the Labor Day celebration. And Oscar Cross.
That's a year right after COVID. I mean, frankly, I think this is kind of important. That I mean, I don't want to live in a community that doesn't have a stage because I want to have the cool events that happen with the stage. And I frankly think if it's a county commissioner vote, I'm going to ask my city commissioners to get involved as well. I think this is a bad decision. The city shouldn't exit this any faster than we should, and I don't think we should exit.
If we do it,
after 5 minutes of thinking about it.
If we do it ourselves, we take them off the road department. Is that it?
No, we have never used the road department for this activity. Remember, the road department is 13 individuals. That's full staff. Take out a sick day, a vacation day, a workers' comp day, and our crews are frequently under 10. So we have not flex road crew.
Who on our staff then works on the road?
It's just Tony and Troy. We're only trained 2 individuals to do it. And then there was the same team that the city used from their parks department that had helped us set it up many times for community events.
One time I was helping with the Lower Town. It seemed like some D-felons helped.
We will pack some inmate labor with us. That's where that came from. As I was telling the judge this morning, it's been a great source for us, but it can also be unpredictable. Somebody gets out of jail or transferred to a different duty, and you're under no guarantee you're going to get the same people back all the time. We recently were happy he finally got out of jail. We're pleased with that, but we recently lost a good hand who knew how to do it with us because he'd been on our crew for a couple of years.
Well, if you look, if we're talking about possibly contracting out and whatever that cost is, and then since we're just kind of brainstorming, it's kind of important that stage. I agree with you, and it's usually the centerpiece, like you talked about. So if we could come up with a scenario where we're trying to keep the costs down and have maybe a minimal fee for the folks that want to use it, nothing astronomical, but something in on it. That may be a way to go. I don't get why the city wouldn't want to help with that. I mean, just besides the folks that want to use it, I don't get the reluctance to.
Well, that's why
help with that.
I was thinking like you when I first heard that. Let me check with the mayor, make sure, because sometimes department heads will make a decision about something and maybe it doesn't get up to the executive level, the commission or the mayor or whatever. But yeah, he knew about it and all. But and so we do work with, as we've got interlocal agreements and lots of projects we work with on the city, and this seemed to be a rather, compared to the others. I mean, we got a $40 million sports complex we're split by them, where we can't split a $2,000 bill on erecting a stage that we paid for ourselves. So I don't know. There's that aspect of it too. I'd like to work in cooperation.
We should be able to work this out.
Yeah, maybe.
I think we should be able to work that out.
Call it the 911 stage. Maybe they'll get interested in it.
I think if the city vets, if the city commission vets it, they'll come to the same conclusion we did. I mean, it's easy for the department heads. The city used to help put up the bubble for the quote show, and they pulled out with that. Now it's costing the convention center $25,000 to $30,000 to put it up and take it down, and because they don't want to help anymore. And this is really important. I agree, and I think if they vet it, they would come to the same decision. Can you get an estimate from a contractor how much it would cost to put it up and take it down?
We have not looked into this at all. We don't even know the difficulty of scheduling they're in the middle of their own stuff and say, I need you to interrupt your workflow. I'm sure for the right dollar, anybody will do that. So I don't really have any idea what it's going to cost for us to contract this out or get it sufficiently under situation where we can reliably have someone we can call and say, here's our projected schedule. It's about the same every year. Anybody can rent it, but honestly, it's only been used by community events. 8th of August was the other event I left off the list, one of the 5 last year. So it's those sorts of events.
I would think if it's only 4 or 5 times a year, the city could afford to share putting it up. I mean, we're not asking them to do it on their own. That makes sense.
Honestly, I wish it were more than 4 or 5 times a year. I mean, I suspect it was in pre-COVID days, but maybe not.
No, it's been pretty consistent, that number over the years. This is the second stage we owned. We wore out the first one. The one that was purchased within the last was during Leaper's administration. It came with the new whiz-bang safety features to stop them from tipping over in the wind, and that's what's added. That heavy ballast with cables is what has really added the difficulty and the heaviness to the setup.
So what'd you say about, $2,000, $5,000? What'd you say?
That'd be just a wild guess. I don't know. We've never actually shopped contracting it out or don't even know if we can, if there's anybody interested in doing that.
Okay, all right.
See, of course, it takes our entire Parks Department,
Right.
Tony and Troy.
Yeah.
So they're out for 3 days messing with that stage, and that's why I think it would be good if it could be used more, but we don't want to rent it out to somebody that's going to have. It needs to be a community, and that's something that brings some, not development, some. Economics into the community, and to provide, it's the fundraiser for Geyser Arts Center, this arts and music. I mean,
Yeah.
Geyser Arts Center is an important part of this community, as is, Oscar Cross Boys Club and NAACP's August 8th, and all of these things are very important. I don't think we want to get into the of renting it out to somebody who wants to have a wedding, private enterprise.
Right.
There are venues there. We're taking money from maybe an entrepreneur that bought his own stage, or she did. But anyway, I want to bring it up. We can toss it about. I can check back and see. First of all, the immediacy of the lower town arts and music. And as I said, Mayor posed that, well, maybe if we can't figure it out, that they would help for one or two of these impending needs. But I'll check on that. We can sleep on it, think about it, come back 2 weeks, decide maybe what we want to do. Okay.
It does seem like a stage on wheels. Technology has moved to the point, but I guess it'd be pretty expensive.
We haven't looked at the cost of those, but a couple $100,000 or?
That's our kind of Googling around guess. We paid $90,000 for the one we currently have. So, yeah, the hydraulic. We looked at it really hard about maybe 10 years ago, and they were like like Owensboro bought one we liked. It was like 150 grand. So I'm sure they're up now, but the beauty of them is, one or two people can take an hour to set it up versus it being a 3-day event, tying up 6 people.
All right, Al, let's go to the court orders. 5A.
We just there,
It is ordered to approve the February transient room tax in the amount of $276,685.46 to be dispersed as follows. Paducah CVB, $81,889.04. Convention Center, $55,214.27. Sports Tourism Commission, $83,750.04. Escrow Fund, $55,832.11.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. B.
It is ordered to pay the invoice dated February 25th, 2023 to PFGW for the Sports Complex project in the amount of $103,097.25. This is pursuant to the interlocal cooperation agreement dated September 7th, 2022 between City of Paducah, Kentucky, the County of McCracken County, Kentucky, and the Sports Tourism Commission. As per their interlocal agreement, the City of Paducah pays half of the invoice to McCracken County. Further, the treasurer is authorized to transfer $51,548.62 from the general fund to the Sports Complex Project Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. C.
It is ordered to pay the invoices listed below to Barkley Regional Airport Authority for new terminal expenses in the amount of $77,636.01. This amount is one half of the total invoices of $155,272 and is pursuant to the interlocal cooperation agreement dated August 28, 2021 between City of Paducah, Kentucky, the County of McCracken County, Kentucky, and the Barkley Regional Airport Authority. Invoice MCFC 02242 dated 2/24/2023, $15,000. Invoice MCFC 02243 dated 2/24/2023, $15,777.83. Invoice MCFCPL 03 dated 3/2/2023, $47,558.18.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, no. That carries. We're on D.
It is ordered that the amount of $58,766.66 be paid to Bill Dunn, McCracken County Property Valuation Administrator, same being the third installment of the county's statutory obligation to the PVA for fiscal year 2022-2023, based on certified assessment.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that a request for qualifications opening for the Carson Park Master Plan was held on March 8, 2023 at 2 p.m. in the Deputy Judge Executive's office. One response was received from Bacon Farmer Workman and will be taken under advisement.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. F.
It is ordered pursuant to KRS 15.291 and 15.293. The Judge Executive is designated as the authorized individual to complete the quarterly certification forms to the Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered to transfer $926,471.62 from the debit fund to the general fund per resolution number R2022-05, reimbursing funds related to Barkley Regional Airport new terminal.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, so does this basically represent everything we've approved to date on the airport?
Yes, so not what's in tonight's, but prior to tonight's, before we got the bond funds, we were using general dollars
Gotcha.
to pay those. So I'm paying that back to the general.
So we're about 1.1 million, well, no, we're about $1 million. We did 77,000 tonight, so we're about $1 million into our $3 million debt. Thank you.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. H,
It is hereby ordered the Judge Executive is authorized to enter a contract with ER Assist Disaster Response and Recovery Services to provide disaster operation management, administrative documentation, software, and other response and recovery services in an amount not to exceed $200,000. The Judge Executive is further ordered to sign all documents necessary, specifically including task orders Kentucky McCracken 2023 DM debris monitoring and Kentucky McCracken 2023 GM grant management.
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? So I did sign under, I declared an emergency from the tornado, did sign under the emergency powers the contract to get them started. So that's how we were able to start as quickly as we did. I had to have the monitoring as we did the work. I just want to put it on here to essentially ratify that, or so we're already under contract with them, but this ratifies the emergency or executive order hiring. That's about what it amounts to. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Aye.
It is hereby ordered the fiscal court record of paid invoices be corrected and clarified so that invoice 40322 from BFW paid on 11/21/2022, invoice 40675 from BFW paid on 12/12/2022, invoice 40931 from BFW paid on 1/9/2023, invoice 2002A-0001 to PFGW paid 1/9/2023, and invoice 2002A-002 to PFGW paid on 2/13/2023. Be changed to reflect the aforementioned invoices were paid with $176,471.62 in interest proceeds transferred from the ARPA fund. It is further ordered that the treasurer is instructed and authorized to make corrective actions to implement this order.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Board appointment.
It is ordered that Alberta Davis is appointed to the Planning Commission to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Joe Metzger. Her term will begin April 1st, 2023 and end May 27th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Would like to thank Joe Metzger for his time that he was on the Planning Commission. We got a lot of boards, a lot of people serve voluntarily on them. They don't make any money. They just do it out of their willingness to and desire to help their community. And we appreciate Joe's work all these years. He did ask that this be his last term, so thank him for that. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Ordinance.
It is hereby ordered that pursuant to KRS Chapter 67, the first reading of ordinance number 2023-05 shall be conducted in summary format as follows. Commonwealth of Kentucky, McCracken County Fiscal Court, ordinance number 2023-05, an ordinance amending the McCracken County subdivision regulations as set forth in McCracken County ordinance number 2017-07 as amended by enacting an amendment to this section pertaining to fee schedules and deleting appendices B and C. Summary. The action effectuated in the present ordinance is authorized and required by Kentucky Revised Statutes, Chapter 100, and operates to amend the McCracken County subdivision regulations by making amendments to Section 190.081 fee schedules, deleting appendices B and C, and amending appendix references in Sections 190.065 and 190.066. Certification. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of ordinance number 2023-05. Public inspection, ordinance number 2023-05 shall be available for public inspection in its whole and complete form in the McCracken County Judge Executive's office during ordinary business hours.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so this is the first reading, so unless we need to have any discussion, we'll vote on it then at our next meeting. Is there anything we need to discuss?
What is that? Is this just an amendment relating to fee schedules?
And then,
we're also removing the letter of credit option for roads, so that now you have to have a road bond.
That's good.
Letters of credit have created issues in the past.
any other discussion, we'll go on to the other first reading.
What type of issues?
Money not being there.
Ah, that's an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then we're going to B.
It is hereby ordered that pursuant to KRS Chapter 67, the first reading of ordinance number 2023-06 shall be conducted in summary format as follows. Commonwealth of Kentucky, McCracken County Fiscal Court, ordinance number 2023-06, an ordinance amending the McCracken County zoning regulations as set forth in McCracken County ordinance number 2019-08 as amended by enacting a fee schedule. Summary, the action effectuated in the present ordinance is authorized and required by Kentucky Revised Statutes, Chapter 100, and operates to amend the McCracken County zoning ordinance regulations by enacting a fee schedule in the article pertaining to administration and enforcement. Certification, it is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of ordinance number 2023-06. Public inspection, ordinance number 2023-06 shall be available for public inspection in its whole and complete form in the McCracken County Judge Executive's office during ordinary business hours.
So moved.
Second.
Anything we need to discuss on that? Everybody good? Got the fee schedule in there? All right. If we're good on that, we'll have the second reading next meeting then. Don't know of any, we have no executive session that I know of. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. We're adjourned then.